With the Australian Boomers finally recording a medal finish at the 2020 Tokyo Olympic Games, heads now turn towards the next generation of homegrown talent. We already know Josh Giddey's bright future after getting drafted 6th overall to the Oklahoma City Thunder, but who's next up? You may know the name, but now we're going to break down the game of NBA G League Ignite signee Dyson Daniels. Dyson Daniels, son of former pro Ricky Daniels, was born in 2003 and grew up in Bendigo, Victoria, where his father won 2 Siebel MVPs for the Bendigo Braves. Now 18 years old, Daniels stands at 6'6" with a 6'10" wingspan, with the guard spurning NBL and collegiate offers to play for the G League Ignite squad in advance of the 2022 NBA draft. Despite his age, Daniels is already a polished product on the defensive end of the floor. On the ball, Daniels has quick feet and hips, sticking tight with ball handlers, fighting over screens, and contesting shots with size and length. Displaying quick hands, Daniels has been a passing lane pest and hounding on-ball presence at every level he's played, averaging an event-high 2.4 steals per game at the 2021 Under-20 Australian Junior Championships and an event second-high 2.2 steals per game at the 2021 Under-19 FIBA World Cup. His anticipation reading passes before they happen is particularly special, and Daniels uses his disruptive ability to turn defense into plenty of fast break points down the other end of the floor. Thanks to great positioning, instincts, and smarts, Daniels maintained a 2-to-3 steal to foul ratio, good for second best at the Under-19 World Cup. Daniels is able to maintain his aggressive playstyle on the defensive end without committing fouls, and is able to pick his spots in such a way that he can maintain his level of disruption without paying the price for gambling too often. Daniels is also an aware team defender, eager to make the right help reads and active in recovering. With his reach and 2-foot leaping ability, Daniels is also capable of forcing misses in transition and acting as a help rim protector in the half court. In this possession, we see Daniels slide away from his man to provide help protecting the rim on the post-up, followed by a further rotation to dissuade the drive, and then a relocation back to the perimeter, with some great on-ball defense to force a bad late clock shot attempt. Daniels' tenacity is also demonstrated on the boards. At 8.4 rebounds per game, Daniels was 4th in rebounds at the Australian Junior Championships amongst all players, including bigs, and was one of the most prolific guard rebounders at the Under-19 World Cup at 5.3 a game. Unlike most modern players, you can actually catch Daniels boxing out with regularity, and he uses his 2-foot leap and physicality to fight for contested rebounds. Daniels is particularly prolific on the offensive glass, amassing 2.1 offensive rebounds a game at the Under-19 World Cup, scoring through tip-ins and generating second chance possessions for his team. While Daniels' shooting proficiency is still developing, one very encouraging indicator is his extremely good touch around the rim. With the proclivity to gather off 2 feet, Daniels loves setting himself up for floaters in the lane, with a particularly distinctive spin into a floater when driving left that could be perceived as his go-to move at this point in time. A great example of Daniels' touch in the lane was his performance against New Zealand in the FIBA Asia Cup qualifiers, where he went 7 of 9 from floater or touch finishes. Daniels also shows a tendency to drive on his left side when finishing all the way at the rim, where he's shown coordination finishing with his left hand. Daniels is a patient driver who utilises good changes in acceleration and deceleration to work his way to the rim, thanks to a low torso and centre of gravity. One positive aspect of Daniels' 2-foot leaping is his ability to generate force when attacking defenders, and he uses this combined with his strength and a great deal of body control to make some incredible finishes through contact in the paint. However, Daniels also has some substantial limitations as a driver. As dynamic as Daniels is finishing at the rim off 2 feet, he lacks fluidity finishing off 1, committing to drives early and taking off far away from the rim, causing his drives to appear premeditated and limiting his finishing windows and ability to adjust. Daniels rarely finishes layups with the traditional 1-2 gather, and when he does, it can often look awkward or uncomfortable when challenged by opposition. This weakness drastically hurts the effectiveness of drives when he does beat his defender, and is reflected by his surprisingly low free throw rate. Despite being a physical player who has shown great capability absorbing contact, Daniels only got to the line for 8 attempts over 7 games in his Under-19 World Cup campaign. Off the ball, Daniels' work rate gets him easy points as a cutter, as he knifes in to find gaps in the defense where he doesn't have the ball. Dyson is also a threat finishing in transition, particularly running the lanes as his athleticism makes him a big-time lob threat. Before acknowledging that shooting is still an area in need of improvement for Daniels, it bears importance to stress how far he's come in developing his outside shot up to this point. Year by year, Daniels has improved his shooting stroke, going from an ineffective 3 of 37 from behind the arc at 2018's Nationals event, all the way up to 36% in the 2021 National competition. At 30% on 42 attempts at the Under-19 World Cup, it's clear there's a ways to go for Daniels to become a consistent outside threat, but the trend of improvement is an encouraging sign long term. While his spot-up form takes a while to load up due to a slight dip, the form itself is pretty in line. While he made some threes over the World Cup event off some basic off-ball actions, he currently has a tendency not to jump straight up and down in these situations, sometimes swaying to the side instead of gathering his momentum. As it stands, Daniels is not a significant threat to pull up with his jump shot off the dribble. It may be a long shot to ever envision Daniels as a pull-up shooting threat, given he has looked infinitely more comfortable shooting with his feet set, but a level of comfort dribbling into threes against sagging defences has been apparent over more recent appearances. In his 2021 Under-20 Australian Junior Championship campaign, Daniels also flashed some impressive self-creation threes, hinting at the potential for some advanced perimeter shot making. One of the big question marks regarding Daniels' upside is whether he will ultimately be a wing with secondary creation, or whether he can turn himself into an oversized lead creator. While Daniels admirably took on the challenge of being a primary initiator on both his Victorian and Australian teams, there is still a ways to go to maximise his ability to create for himself and others on the ball. With a good change of pace and a quick first step, as well as an increasingly proficient handle, Daniels has some positive attributes to beat defenders off the dribble. However, it sometimes appears Daniels' upright posture contributes to a high and loose dribble that can limit his effectiveness as a self-creator and stop him from gaining speed in transition with the ball in his hands. As a passer, Daniels is unselfish and demonstrates good vision. frequently finding teammates for open looks through drive and dish creation. At 4.6 assists a game at the Under-19 World Cup, Daniels was Australia's leading setup man and sported the 4th highest raw assist total at the event. Given his usage as both a passer and a scorer, an accompanying 2.3 assist to turnover ratio demonstrates his decision making with ball in hand. As the ball handler in pick and rolls, Daniels has a good feel making plays to the roll man, and is comfortable throwing lobs to athletic big men, as well as slipping through accurate bounce passes. Daniels is also a positive passer in transition, where after grabbing one of his many defensive rebounds, has his head up early and can accurately hit transition runners up ahead. Unfortunately, his actual skill level as a passer currently limits the utility of his vision. As an initiator, it is particularly notable how Daniels almost never makes passes with one hand. Limiting his passing windows and tying in with his finishing limitations, he also has a tendency to pick the ball up in traffic when unable to finish a drive. If Daniels aspires to be a primary initiator at higher levels of play, refinement of his handle and a developed confidence in live dribble passing are pivotal to making that a reality. However, while the technical ability is still improving, the underlying feel and IQ are there, making him an above average on-ball player for his size already, and the jump to true initiator qualities are plausible one. If Josh Giddey's emergence has, whether fairly or not, set the bar for the next generation of Australian talent, then we're very fortunate to have a worthy successor in Dyson Daniels to watch in the lead up to the 2022 draft. Though they are very different players, Daniels has some NBA ready skills, already displaying elite ability as a defender and rebounder, and the attributes to play any perimeter position on the floor with his size, length and athleticism. Where Daniels' ceiling is concerned, it will come down to the refinement of his offensive game. Having played a pivotal offensive role at both national and international junior levels, Daniels has flash potential as a creator, a passer and more recently as a shooter, but it will take further development of these skills to become an asset on that end of the floor at the NBA level. To become a lead guard, Daniels will require important developments as a creator, and if not, his progress as a shooter becomes pivotal for his ability to become effective off of the ball. Fortunately, Daniels has shown considerable progress in all of his flaws over recent years. With a penchant for picking up new skills quickly, it's hard to put a cap on his potential going forward. It will be extremely exciting to monitor Daniels through the season with the G League Ignite, as he hopes to maintain his stock as a projected first round pick and aspire to future goals as an NBA player and Australian boomer. For more content, subscribe to our YouTube channel, add the pick and roll on socials, follow me on Twitter @Michael Houben, and go check out Oz Hooper's basketball content on YouTube and Instagram.